game 3 of our series against the San Antonio Missions, and we're joined by Steve Buechele as RoughRiders and Missions played a very interesting game last night. And, first of all, Steve, I want to start off. Jared Hoying suffered what looked like a pretty bad left hamstring injury. Do you have any update on Jared?
Yeah, he's a little bit better today. Certainly when you saw him being helped off the field into the clubhouse, you thought it would be really serious. Hamstrings can be a little funny sometimes, and we're kind of hoping for the best, that maybe it's just a week to 10-day type of thing. And if he really, there was no pop, so that's a good sign. But that's up to the trainers, and they know more about it than me. But I'm pretty sure it'll be a 7-day DL for Jared here coming up, and hopefully we'll get him back as soon as he can.
Well, and it makes it all the more difficult because, A, it was his birthday, and B, he was starting to hit the ball pretty well and did it on an RBI double.
Right. I mean, I know that frustrated him too. It was the first thing he said when I got back into the clubhouse. He said, gosh, I'm just starting to feel a little bit better, and now this happens. But it's a crazy game, and things happen for a reason, and hopefully, give him a little break, maybe, a little rest, and heal up and come back swinging just like he was.
And one of the things that struck me last year when I heard Mike Olt getting interviewed, somebody asked him, what's the most difficult part of the season? And he said, honestly, it's just staying healthy. And that's something that you take for granted until something like this happens.
I think, what I always say is the hardest part, especially for this level or most levels in the minor leagues, is learning how to play every day. And I think that part of it is, the injuries and the workouts and knowing how to take care of yourself. So I think Mike Olt probably made a good point about staying healthy, because it's a long grind. The guys here in the minor leagues don't get days off. When they do, it's a travel day and they're sitting down. That's not good for your legs or back either. So part of it is staying healthy, but just getting through the season and learning how to do it is probably the most important thing for these guys.
You mentioned you saw Jared during the game. You made it into the clubhouse a little bit sooner than I think you planned at the start of the night. Thrown out, first time that you've been ejected this year. What happened from your perspective?
I think I was just a little frustrated with how he was calling the game. I wasn't arguing balls and strikes. I was just kind of wanting the same pitches that he was giving the other guy, the ones that were low. And the pitch in question was, when I asked him from the dugout where the ball was, he said it was down. And that's when I was a little bit upset with him, because from the side view, it was definitely not down. And you can get a good idea, and you can tell how the catcher reacts when he catches it, and you can tell by the pitcher's reaction. I was just wanting him to call the game consistently both ways. And I get it. Sometimes it's hard to do, especially in a game like last night where you play 3 innings in an hour and a half, and I bet the toughest job is the home plate umpire's job to stay in it. So I understand that, but I was a little frustrated with him, and he obviously was frustrated with me too.
Here with RoughRiders manager Steve Buechele. Last night's game, the game before, and the game before that, starting to see the guys wake up a little bit with the bats, even in a losing effort last night. And one of the players who's really come out of nowhere because of where he came from is Xishan Chang. He has been hitting the ball at a good rate, extra base hits, driving in runs, a couple of home runs the other night. What have you seen that he has changed here working with Jason?
Jason has him just kind of trying to get ready a little bit earlier, meaning getting on his backside and getting the ball out front. I think first month of the season or so, he's just really tying himself up, letting the ball get really deep on him. And there's a fine line between going out and getting it and hitting it out front, but I think he's figured it out. He hits the ball hard. The ball really comes off his bat good. He hits the ball hard line to line, and it's nice to see him going, and shoot, it couldn't be at a better time now. Being short with players and losing Jared, be nice if his bat stays hot.
2 other players who have stepped up, Tomas Telis and Teodoro Martinez. Teo has 4 home runs in his last 9 games, and Tomas Telis has a 12-game hit streak.
Yeah, both of those guys have been huge. Teo's been real big. Probably the kid that was coming in, maybe not expected to play a whole bunch, but he's come in and done a really good job. I tip my cap to him, and he's been great. It's been fun to be around, and he's been hot. And he's in the 5-hole today, backing up Przinsky and Nicholas. So I couldn't be more pleased with how he's swinging the bat. And he's been playing decently on defense too.
Speaking of defense, it seems like the last few games there have been a few lapses that we haven't seen prior to that. Is some of that guys maybe struggling a little bit offensively and that carrying over, or is it just the grind of a season?
I think it's partly the grind of the season. To me, it's always May and usually sometime in July where teams hit a lull or guys hit the wall. In the big leagues, it's the same way. In the minor leagues, for some reason to me, it's May and July at some point. The players have to learn that no matter how much you struggle offensively, you can help a team win defensively. And I think sometimes at this level, sometimes these players take a selfish approach, and understandably so, because they're concerned about their numbers. They want a good average. They want to put up good numbers, so it can look good, so they can be promoted. But they have to understand that defense is just as important as the offense, and you have to separate the two. And yeah, last night, I think for the most part this year, defensively, we've been very good. Last night you could see, and we're not the kind of team that can make mistakes that cost us runs. We can't afford to do that. And last night we did. I had a couple lapses that cost us.
All of a sudden, this clubhouse has become rehab central. You really have 4 guys, although 3 are technically rehabbers on this